It's time to mind your business with me, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in to find out how to mind your business with BEDC, special guest entrepreneurs, industry experts, and more. Brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here. Welcome to Mind Your Business.
All right.
I am your host, Jamillah Lodge. We know each other already. Joshua Stovell, you are the founder of, let me get it right, Enlightened Expertise.
Yes.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about your experience starting this business. But before we do that, I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Good day, everybody. My name is Joshua Stovell. I am a project manager, consultant, and local expert within the renewable energy industry in Bermuda. So, yeah, that's
you?
me. Yeah.
So my first question is, what made you decide to start your own business?
Well, I have been working in the industry since 2015.
Okay.
I'm one of the local companies here in Bermuda, and had a wonderful experience learning. And I decided to start my own business because I felt as though I had hit my ceiling within the structure of the company.
Got you.
So, yeah, it was a long time coming as far as developing and kind of figuring out solutions for myself.
Okay.
And that ended up being the sort of catalyst, I guess, to start
your business.
Yeah.
So Enlightened Expertise, tell me specifically, like, what do you do? What is the company's?
Well, since I got started last year, it has evolved. I had my own sort of plan. I had my own idea of what I wanted to be, and it just
turned into something different.
Something totally
happens
different.
like that, huh?
Yeah. So I'm very I like to be prepared. I'm not a risk taker.
Excuse me, sir. Wrong.
Well,
because the nature of leaving a full-time 9-to-5 job and starting your own venture is pure risk. So okay,
it was a calculated risk. Though.
Well, and then there's nothing wrong with that. But it was still a risk. Yeah.
And so what Enlightened Expertise actually is for me is just the embodiment of all the skills, the knowledge, experiences, and all the solutions that I kind of have come up with working throughout the 8 years that I've been working in the industry.
So when you talk about renewable energy and that industry, and then you have all these skill sets, was it your goal to be able to provide people with access to all of this knowledge versus when you were working for someone, you were limited by what they said
the
that
structure
you should.
of the company.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, yeah. So when I decided to start my own business, I wanted it to be more of a consultancy with customers, with people looking to get solar.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I have found my niche really while I was working. So I was like, this is my strongest attribute is kind of customer service related, and being able to speak to customers, technicians, electricians, contractors, installers. I'm a nationally certified electrician, and I have my certifications installing solar and battery systems as well. So I can kind of speak all the languages when it comes to that sort of industry. And so I was like, well, this is what I want my business to be. But it has not been that.
What has it been?
Far.
Just tell me.
So what it has kind of morphed into, so what I'm working on right now, I'm working on a big project. So a company reached out to me, and this is related to the government solar RFP. So this is 32 government buildings that they're looking to get solar installed on. And a company reached out to me for my expertise.
Right.
And I said, well, hey, that sounds great. And so that has been my sort of
So it is kind of consulting.
Yeah, well, it is exactly consulting.
Yeah.
So I'm consulting with this company right now, and it's a multi-million-dollar job that the company that I'm working with has become one of the 3 finalists
Okay.
for the RFP. So we're waiting to hear back from that. Actually, this week, the 30 last week.
Yeah.
This week Wednesday was the final day to get in our best and final offer. So that has where most of my time has gone so
Okay.
far since starting my own business. And so as part of that RFP, it's a local benefit portion to that contract. So 40% of the contract is local benefit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so as part of the local benefit submission for the bid, I have been the lead for that particular aspect of the bid. And so what I've been working on is developing a training program for Bermuda.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, for renewable energy and installing solar.
Yeah.
And things like that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's been different. So not at all
Not what you
I
thought.
expected.
But you know what I think it's important to recognize, and that you were able to do, is pivot when it was required, right? Because sometimes you could get stuck and be like, no, this is what I'm gonna do, but your market or the audience is saying, but that ain't what we want. You know what I mean? We're more interested in this. And so that you recognize that and was like, okay, well, this is what I said I was gonna do, but I guess this is what we're doing now. And it's still in the same space. You're still utilizing your skills.
Yep, same space. So I've been developing presentations for government, workforce development, Department of Energy. I've spoken to the regulatory authority, and kind of promoted myself in that space.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
So let me ask you: do the end consumer, do you still have plans or goals to provide products or services to like consumers, or is the focus primarily on organizations, so like B2B versus business to customer?
Okay, so if I can, and I'm not exactly sure where this interview is going to go really, but I'll try to provide some context for the industry in Bermuda.
Okay.
So what I'm kind of doing right now is I think I can say that I'm providing opportunities for other businesses to start. So I'm helping create some infrastructure for the industry in Bermuda.
Okay.
So there's very, very limited infrastructure. Companies kind of, they get away with a lot, if I can say that.
Oh, you trying to make the rules. They gonna be like, that's the rule guy.
Well, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm positioning myself.
Okay.
And my business as the leading consultant and expert, and trying to develop solutions for the problems that exist.
Okay.
Not just trying to, make money off of those problems,
Right.
so to speak.
Yeah, but then you have to charge for those services.
Oh,
so you
yeah.
Okay, so switching gears a bit. So talk a little bit about our Enterprise Bermuda program, which
Yes.
you applied for.
Yes.
And I remember that initial introduction and those initial conversations. I
Yes.
mean, in the interview, you were like, yeah, I'm not sure this is for me.
Yeah.
So first, let's talk about why you decided to apply.
Okay.
And then what made you decide to stick with it? Because initially,
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. So I initially decided to apply because it seemed like a great opportunity. I looked up you guys' website and saw everything that you guys offered, and was like, well, this is definitely something that I feel I need if I'm going to step into this space with but very limited knowledge on running a business. In Bermuda specifically, I think Bermuda's
a little different.
it's a different sort of space here. But yeah, I mean, because I had done previous courses with you guys,
Yes.
which I absolutely loved. Very, very informative and thorough. And so I said, well, yeah, no, let's do this. And so yeah, it made sense. I'm a knowledge driven individual, and I would like to have the most knowledge that I could possibly have to be able to make the correct decisions that I want to make in order to get everything that I want out of this business. So
Yeah.
it just made sense. And initially, I was not hesitant.
Yeah, you were.
Hesitant?
We were in the interview. He was like, "Yeah, I applied, but I don't think this is for me, y'all."
Yeah.
That's my paraphrasing. We had to talk. We had to talk him off the ledge and be like, "No, no, come, try it out."
Yeah,
So-
it wasn't what I was expecting.
Right.
It was a lot. So I don't know what I would call myself. I'm not an extrovert, but I'm a little introverted when it comes to
What
things
engage?
that are close to me. I guess.
Okay,
And so
okay.
my business is very, because it's me. So
Yeah, it
it's-
is.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of people, a lot of new faces, and I just wasn't really. I wanted some direct sort of help. I wanted all the attention. I
Yeah. He's being selfish, y'all. But no, so that's a good point because,
Yeah.
like you said, there are others in the program with you.
Yeah.
So there's about 19 of you left.
Yes.
And so, because that wasn't what you initially wanted, how do you find engaging with them now?
Well, I mean, it's been great. So
See?
yeah, it wasn't what I had thought that it was going to be, but I mean the camaraderie, the being able to bounce ideas off of each other, our little CEO groups that we have. So and being in a similar space with other people that are on the same journey, it's been great, and I find the most benefit from actually that is being able to talk with other people who are on the same journey.
Yeah.
That has been probably the best part of this particular phase of the journey so far.
And you know what? Every time we ask that question, we get a similar response.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Oh, nobody understands." You know what I mean? You have your family, and sometimes they're like, "Are you crazy? You gonna quit your 9 to 5 and go start your own?" You don't even know,
Yeah.
And so it's hard to explain that to people who haven't been there and done it. And so I do think that even though you were hesitant at first to kind of share you or yourself, meaning your business, with others, that tends to be the best part because you can say to someone, "Guess what? I was up," and they're like, "Yup, me too." You know what I mean? So you have that camaraderie, and it kind of can propel you when you're like, "Okay, I'm had enough. I'm done all the things, and I just can't take it anymore." Then sometimes having that person who's
Yeah.
going through it too to be like,
few
"You
people.
could do it. Yeah, you can still do it." So I'm so happy to hear you say that. I'm so glad that you chose to stay in the program.
No, definitely for sure. Me too.
So let's talk about Enlightened Expertise and what you envision it being.
Yeah. So I have that one written down.
Okay.
Let me go to this. All right. So during this journey,
Yeah.
and I have to read this from the paper because it's constantly shifting and
Yes.
changing.
Yes.
So the mission of Enlightened Expertise has changed a bit from when it first started out. So I'm just going to read it out.
Okay.
What it is now. And so it is supporting and promoting the growth of learning, collaboration, and innovation of all things pertaining to sustainable living in Bermuda. And so that's the mission of Enlightened Expertise.
Okay.
And so really I'm trying to help to build the infrastructure to be able to do that because got to start somewhere. And so where it's kind of led to being started is creating a training program that is specifically for solar and battery systems here in Bermuda. And it's incorporating not just theory, but actual being able to get hands-on experience.
Yeah, which I think is important.
Yeah, the industry in Bermuda is very...
It's relatively new, right?
Yeah, but it's shifted. So the industry as it is right now, the companies that are in place are just so far ahead and so far removed from the public that there's a large gap of necessary information and knowledge for
Got you.
consumers.
Yeah, yeah.
So, for example, if you want to work in the industry, you have to work for one of those companies. And I don't think that it creates enough avenues to be able to work in the industry. So through this training program, um, I've developed a theory portion and also a practical application. So you can get those experiences without actually working for a company in Bermuda,
So then they could then go out if they decide and start their own.
which would create more competition
Yeah.
and also reduce the cost
Costs.
of installing solar
Yeah.
and hopefully the prices of energy overall on the island. I mean, Bermuda is the second highest electricity bill in the whole world. It's
I know.
ridiculous.
It is so crazy. Wait, and it's not even summertime yet, so do
Yeah,
not. If you
yeah.
do have an AC,
Yeah.
when you turn it on, it's like all bets are off when you get that bill. But no, I'm serious, and I've often said to myself, because of the size of Bermuda, because I mean, we already figured out how to capture water, right, from the rain, and I'm saying, why aren't we doing more to
Well, we can, but the companies that are currently in place, they just have a
hold?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and so I see that as a problem, not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
So
Look at you being a disruptor.
yeah, well, hey.
He's coming and messing it all up. No, I think it's great for us, right? Because at the end of the and great for the environment. Because if
Absolutely.
you are doing or providing solutions that are going to have a positive impact
Yes.
on the environment, at the end of the day, maybe the bigger companies that are already in place don't like it, but it's better as a whole.
Overall for Bermuda.
Yeah.
And that's the whole goal. That should be the goal.
And that's the way that I think the world is moving in
Absolutely.
that because of global warming and all of the things. It's like it was snowing in California or somewhere in Florida. I was like, wait, what? It's like these things are happening, but this is just the world telling us you guys are doing too much.
You need to wake up.
You need to wake up. And so I do think that maybe you are hitting right when you need to, and people are really thinking about this. Even companies, corporations are thinking about how can we do better and be better at managing resources. And so I do think it's important, and it's great time. And sometimes part of the success of any business is the timing, right?
Yes. Well, and speaking of timing, I think that it's kind of been integral to the development of my business because of this very, very unique, the RFP, which is 32 massive projects, they're not small projects, but Bermuda doesn't have the capacity to, even with the local companies that are here, doesn't have the capacity to be able to
deliver
on that. So improving that capacity and the capability of the island in general, not just for this project, but future ones to come. They're talking about installing on the hotels and other large sort of buildings and structures. And it's like, well, yeah, but what are we gonna we're gonna bring in a foreign company again and then have another situation like the Finger Project where things are not anything like what we expected they would be. So I think that it's better to put the infrastructure in place now and be able to compete. Not just locally, but internationally as well. So.
And I think, like you said, there always has to be a starting point. And I know, especially in Bermuda, you're looking for ways to diversify the job market and the workforce. And this is a huge opportunity, I think.
Yes.
Skilling up Bermudians to go in this field and be able to provide services in this area. They're doing the similar things in the States.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I definitely think you are on the right track. You're striking when the iron is hot. So the timing is great for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And part of my sort of the program that I'm putting in place, I'm targeting the youth.
Okay.
So I just presented the program to Cedar Bridge yesterday.
Okay.
It was pretty well received to the S3s and S4s. So I was uh, with Workforce Development and IEPC and a couple other local companies to try and get the kids interested or back interested in the trades, which is it's very important if you're not going to go to college that you have a trade, attached to your name or the ability to do electrical, plumbing, carpentry, masonry, and those sorts of things. So it was well received. A few students, not a few, a bunch of students came down and was kind of conversing with them afterwards and signed up to be an applicant for the program,
Oh, yay, that's
which was
great.
fun.
That's
But yeah,
exciting.
I know, yeah,
I think part of the process is helping young people understand that just because not everybody's going to college, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody should go to college,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you don't have the capacity and sometimes more capacity to really not limit your earning potential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember when I first got to Bermuda and I had to go around and do the census, right? So you got to go to people's houses, back in them, big, huge houses or whatever.
Yeah.
And invariably, I would say 90% of the houses I went to, the people that owned them were tradesmen
Yeah. Yeah.
that started their own business,
this
were
is-
plumbers, were
yeah.
electricians,
Yeah.
were carpenters. And I just think that sometimes young people don't realize that. Like there's a negative perception maybe associated with the trades.
Well, I wouldn't say that. So
Okay.
what I would say is, with my experiences working in the industry, well, not just that. It's a whole thing. So lack of interest, one, lack of opportunity, two, and then just
What's the lack
This-
of interest
this-
piece though? What do you think that is about?
instant results. So
Got you.
the generation
Okay.
of today wants to
Or microwave.
be in control
Yeah,
and wants
yeah.
to just have it all right
Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's a process. You
Okay.
have to work. You have to learn in order to get to that level to be able to make decisions and apply the things that you know. And so maybe not understanding authority as well,
Yeah.
or a lack of care of authority as well. So it's like if you have a boss and they tell you to do something, it's like,
I don't feel
do
like
it my way. And then,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
a bunch of different things, but. I would say with the presentation yesterday, there is a lot of interest
That's
in
good.
not just renewable energy, but electricians, IT, and those sorts of things. So it's
promising.
There. It's there, but the right infrastructure needs to be in place to be able to help
Nurture that kind
Exactly,
of
exactly.
yeah.
Not necessarily hand holding, but the encouragement and the right atmosphere to be able to speak their language and also get the results that's necessary.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. That it's important because if you identify someone who is interested, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have that infrastructure in place, then that interest wanes. They get distracted, and now they're doing something different, right? So to be able to provide that foundation, the infrastructure, and a plan, right? If you do this, then you could do this, which leads to this, and then creating your own business, which is what we want to hear, right?
And that is my target. So another thing that kind of has sort of pushed me in towards targeting the youth.
Yeah.
So I was involved in the Bermuda College solar project. So I was project managing, and then I was also doing some hands-on training with some of the students who are in the technical program. And there were some very promising, talented 16-year-olds
Wow.
that's in the dual enrollment program. So going to Cedar Bridge and Berkeley, and then also
Taking
going up to
college
college
courses.
at the same time. And so I had these guys up on the roof, and they wanted to be welders, electricians, work in IT, and those sorts of interests. And I have found, so I mean, through my experiences working in the industry, I've worked with 16-year-olds all the way up to like 45-year-olds, and it's like, give me a 16 to 21-year-old that's eager and hungry any day, and you can give them, they're like sponges that just absorb everything, and they're so eager to please and do it the right way and to learn the right way. And so yeah, I mean, it's promising. So
Yeah, that's good to hear.
yeah.
That's really good to hear, and good for you, right? Because this is what your business model has turned to, is educating and informing, like you said, building out this whole plan.
Yes.
So, for those young people who you train up and are like, "Yep, I'm gonna start my own business,"
Yes.
what would you say to them based on your experience with starting your business? What are some of the things they may or should consider?
That's a hard question.
I know. They're not all supposed to be easy. Josh.
Wow. Get as much, I don't want to say knowledge. Create your own business. Don't try and form a business that is like someone else's.
Okay.
Put your own stamp on it. Be yourself. And you don't necessarily have to create a business that has had a mold necessarily ahead of it. So, for example, for myself, I'm an electrician. I'm certified installer of solar and battery systems, but I'm consulting and training right now. And it's broad. Like, I can still install, still I can decide to be an electrician on a certain day, but don't limit yourself by putting labels on your business.
Gotcha.
And I think that would probably be the advice that I'd not just give to the youth, but to anyone looking to start a business is don't label it, because I feel like labels are limitations.
Yeah, they're boxes.
Yeah.
You can step outside of the box and all
Exactly.
that. And then even your name, Enlightened Expertise.
Yeah,
it's like, well,
it's not limited to anything.
we can do all the things if we want to.
That was by design.
It was by design.
Yeah,
and I think that's important, right? Because sometimes when you think about names, you kind of put yourself in a box. I can think of several businesses right now that are providing different or had to pivot because demand or whatever has forced them to, but the name still is very limiting.
Yes.
So think about it. If those of you who are listening or will watch this and you're deciding on what you want to do, and think about the name. The name can be all encompassing, or it could be limiting, forcing you to have to rebrand and change the name and all of that.
And since I started last year, I've had a lot of pivots. So
that's right. That's one thing.
It's been helpful to have a name that doesn't
that you don't have to change.
Yeah,
you can just everything that you're doing, all of the skills, the electrician, the solar installation, the consulting can fit right into that name. Yeah.
I put a lot of thought into that name.
Yeah. Hey, listen, the one thing that I can say about you from knowing you over these past couple of months is that you are very thoughtful. And like you said, even though you don't consider yourself a risk taker, you definitely are, but it is calculated. So you thought through, you were like, well, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That sometimes is the best. You know what I mean? But it definitely shows that you do take the risk. You have to, entrepreneurship. Literally, you got to do the work if you want to eat, right?
It's about 75% risk, man. It's a lot, but having a support system around you as well that is also very, very helpful. So, I mean, my wife and my parents and friends who I've shared my sort of vision with, it's very helpful to have those sorts of people that you can talk to have to support you when things aren't going exactly
To plan,
the
right?
way that you planned that they would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like, you can lay out the plan, but sometimes life has its own plan, right?
Yeah,
You're like,
sure.
oh wait, I can't do that now. Okay. But no, I think it's key, and you've already shown it in your business, is being able to pivot and being flexible enough to say, okay, that doesn't mean I was wrong. It just means that maybe the timing is not right, or this is really what people need, or this is what people should be focusing on, and not being so like rigid that it's like, well, I don't care. I'm still gonna do this.
No, I mean, it brings me, it reminds me of this saying, being an entrepreneur is like jumping from a plane or something and building a parachute
On your way down, Lord.
It's definitely like that. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you go in one way, and then you gotta adapt, or not adapt, but add to your experiences or your knowledge, or you take a class or become certified in something else, and then it's like, that didn't exactly work out, and then it's like, okay, well, then another opportunity, and it's like you're constantly moving and changing directions, but it's not necessarily a path. It's more of a perspective. So it's adding to your perspective. So those things that you're able to learn and learn from, it just adds to your perspective, so you don't make those sorts of decisions again. And so it just, as you step back, it definitely, you're able to see and understand more, and maneuver a lot better and smarter. So it's been a journey. And
yeah, it is. And it's a continuous one,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have been enlightened by your expertise, sir. You like I did that?
Yeah, that's nice.
No, seriously, it has been a pleasure speaking with you and just getting inside your head a little bit to learn how and what motivates you to continue. So I'm really excited to see what Enlightened Expertise ends up as. I wish you all the best, and my fingers are crossed for whatever project you're working on to come out in your best interest. Because you're the guy.
And Bermuda's best interest.
And Bermuda's best interest. I love that. Yeah. So listen, we did a lot of minding your business today. And my catchphrase that I have to end with is, if you don't mind your business, who will?
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you don't know, I can't. Thanks for tuning in to Mind Your Business with me, your host, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. because if you don't mind your business, who will? Mind Your Business is brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.